Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me, Isabel, here with books to summon me with. This has been on my schedule since last year. I want you to understand, I saw this video over on Heather's channel, EREADERS, and I was like, oh, I have to do that next year. And I literally scheduled it a year ago. So here I am with books to summon me with. The whole point of this is just kind of the books that, like, if you talk about these books and I see it, I will appear. Because these books, I love them. I love them deeply. And I just realized I missed a book on this list. Wow, maybe I'm a liar. So yeah, these are the books you could summon me with. So like, if you were gonna like make a summoning circle and get me to appear, this is the way. This is the way. These are the books. This is how to find me. All right, first up, I feel like no surprise, is two different Kresley Cole books. All right, so for Kresley, you could pick either of these to put in the circle, and I think you would summon me. Okay, so first of all, for our Kresleys, we could pick either Dark Needs at Night's Edge. This is our ghost romance. We follow Noemi, who is a ballerina who was killed by someone and lives in this manor that she kind of haunts. And we follow Conrad Roth, who has been trapped there by his brothers while he overcomes his issues. And he can see her, and she can see him, obviously. And it's their romance, and it's so good. Oh my god, this is so good. This is like tension and build up perfection. I love the setup here. It's just one of my favorites in the first like arc of Immortals After Dark, and I continue to be obsessed with it. And honestly, talking about it always makes me want to reread it. So I feel like you could summon me with this book because we could have a whole discourse on it. A good time. But yeah, he has to figure out how to protect her and save her from herself. The other book is no surprise, but Sweet Ruin by Kresley Cole, because he's poison to everyone but her. And if that isn't my tropes in like one book built for me, that is like my id, right? Those are like it's like in my romance blood. I love Sweet Ruin. I love Archer Rune and Josephine, our heroine in this one. They're just fantastic for each other. She's definitely take no shit. He is like, I don't know how to handle the fact that I'm not like poison to you and that you give me shit. The best mix of things. The best mix of things. But as always, like that's like Kresley's thing, right? Is like really grumpy heroes slash like alpha hole eat heroes and heroines that don't take their shit to an extent, generally speaking. Which both of these have. Okay, next is one that I actually don't own a physical of anymore because it got lost in a book exchange. But that is Managed by Kristen Callahan. Okay, listen, this is another book that I feel like just has my ids in it. And one of the microtropes I want to talk about in a minute. But this follows Sophie, who is a PR person, social media person for bands and famous people. She gets hired to follow this really popular band that's had some troubles, to say the least. She's on her flight to London to interview with the band, and lo and behold, she's seated next to their manager, doesn't know it's Scotty, and he has flight anxiety and she can't stop talking. So they're in like first class. She ends up taking his other first class seat, and it is dramatic. He's so mad about it. But then like he has the best flight ever because she's there. We'll talk about it in a minute because that is one of my favorite microtropes. But also this book follows Sophie, who's like also somewhat redeeming herself from a situation with the band that was not what it seemed in the past, as well as just like this pull between these two characters that banter with each other and kind of fight a lot together. Like there's this constant pull of them together, like to be together, but they're fighting it so hard, and I love that tension here. And Scotty is like an OG grumpy hero. Like he is so grumpy, and he just doesn't know how to handle Sophie, who is so sunshiny. I mean, so sunshiny. It is ridiculous. It is over the top banter, delightful tension and angst building here. And like, I love this story with all my heart. I love these two as a couple so much. And honestly, I need to get a new copy to mark up because that needs to happen sooner than later. So maybe I'll do an annotate with me for some of these. But yeah, this is definitely one that is in my romance DNA at this point. Like when I read things, it's just something that I will always compare certain books to. Next is a manga that I don't have my stepladder. It's up high, like top shelf. So photo here. And that is of course Sweat and Soap. Listen, if you were talking about Sweat and Soap, I will appear. I will be like, hello, what are we talking about? My favorite manga? Yeah, I love Sweat and Soap. I think Sweat and Soap is, again, Another book that showcases relationships so fantastically and just perfection all around. Like, I love how the relationship develops in Sweat and Soap. I love how realistic it is in Sweat and Soap. I love how they grow together in this book series. I love so much about this manga series, and I feel like it's a manga series me and Shay and a lot of other people who love it as well, don't get me wrong, but like on BookTube at least have talked about extensively and why we love it so much. And I just like, they're my babies. I still need to watch live action. Like, that's how much I love this show. Like, this manga, I put off watching this show because I'm so nervous too. So yeah, like, I'm nervous to watch the show because I don't know. I'm nervous to watch the show because I don't know if it can hold up to my expectations of it and or to the manga. But also, like, I want to watch it because I want more Sweat and Soap content. But it very easily is like all-time favorite manga. The only reason it outranks Yona is because it's completed, and you possibly could swap in Yona of the Dawn, depending on my mood. But I feel like Sweat and Soap is definitely one that would have to go in my summoning circle. Another one that doesn't exist physically at all, actually, it's only an ebook, unfortunately. This is Maybe Next Time by Christina C. Jones. So I love Christina C. Jones. We know this is nothing new. This is not news. But one of her books that has stuck with me the longest and continues to rattle around in my brain is Maybe Next Time. This is one of my favorites of a previous year. I think it was last year. But this is a husband kidnaps his wife to work through their problems. And I don't know why I find this so romantic in the book, but I loved the way in which he was like, no, we're going to go on this trip so we can discuss this problem and work through it. The problem does center around infertility, so I do want to caveat that. But I loved this book. It had the perfect mix of the things I love about Christina C. Jones's writing, which are banter, really good sex scenes, and really solid communication between the couples, generally speaking. Like, the couples talk to each other, and I like a book where the couples talk to each other because that's real life. Like, how else am I supposed to know you like each other if you don't talk to each other and have conversations? And I feel like Christina delivers in all fronts of this, giving me the perfect mix of dark romance, but also normal contemporary romance. It's perfection. I love this book series so much. I love this book so much. I'm still like a little sad I can't get a physical of it. All right, next we have Rafe by Rebecca Weatherspoon. So listen, this is one that in 2019, I think I met Beverly Jenkins, obviously not Rebecca Weatherspoon. And she was talking about on this Avon panel that we went to for one of the KissCon events about this book. And I had already read this book. And Rafe was like, in that, if you were in the romance space at that time, was a very like popular book. And I think Rafe doesn't get enough attention still for how good it is, because this book follows our divorced doctor and the male nanny taking care of her girls. And he's like the best. Like, it's so hot how confident he is with children. I don't want kids, but a man that is confident with children can be hot as hell, and that is Rafe. He also is like willing to take care of her and handle things for her / help her out, you know what I mean? And it just is like the perfect amount of steam, the perfect like mix of everything. I just loved it so much. I loved them. I loved them together. I loved everything about this book. Like, again, a lot of communication, some great sex, but also just a really competent hero that isn't here to like cause extra work for the heroine. And what's not to love about that? Okay, this is a series. I've not read the finale in this series, but I don't have Thirsty in print because I don't think you can get Thirsty in print anymore, which is sad to say the least. But maybe Mia fix that one day. But the East Side Brewery series by Mia Hopkins. I've read the first two. I've not read the third because I'm not ready to say goodbye yet. But this is a series that I feel like also would summon me because not only does it have communication, men who are just like head over for their women, but on top of that, we follow heroes who have been through a lot. Like, they have went to jail. They have been involved in gang stuff. This is set in LA. Like, it has so much realness and real life in it that I deeply appreciate this book series because of that. Like, it felt real. Like, these felt like real people. This could have been someone's story, right, of their life. And I loved that about it. And it follows three brothers. They both, in book 1 and 2, are head over for their girls. And this one is our second book, which is Eddie Rosa. And he just absolutely fantastic. And a chef is our heroine. Yeah, he like has to work to prove to his love interest that he can like be dependable and be what she needs. In book 1, similar vibes. Like, I don't feel like enough people talk about the series, and when they do, I will appear with a couple of my other friends that also appear to talk about this series because it is so good. And I thank my friends who got me to read this series because, again, so worth it. Okay, on top of these books, I think you could pick books with certain tropes to summon me. And one of these is a regular trope, but I'm gonna say kind of micro niche tropes here. Micro tropes is in like, they're just small moments in the book. So one of those small moments that you can definitely summon me with is a book that involves one of the main characters having flight anxiety and the other character helping them through that flight anxiety or like meeting them via the flight anxiety. So like I've read a couple of these. I've read obviously Managed, but we also have Puck Me Secretly, which I didn't love, and Body Truck by Tegan Hunter has this, and I was like freaking out because, again, one of my favorite micro tropes is this. And it doesn't happen often, but when it happens, I'm always just like, yes, give me more. And it's just so cute. Like, it just can be such a fun way for them to meet, but also just shows that the character has like compassion and humanity to them, even if they are like a grumpy character or kind of an asshole or an alpha hole character. And I love that. Next thing you can always summon me with and would be able to summon me with would be anything with pegging. I haven't read a ton this year or in the last year and a half because I don't feel like a lot of books have had it. I do have a couple on my TBR, including the Wild Pitch book. But I think if you put out some pegging books, I would also probably appear for that rec list and or for those books. Because I enjoy this in my books. I think it's such an interesting one. We don't get it a ton in our romances, to be honest. And I think that's part of why it makes me like, yes, please, because it's just so different from our regular content in a romance book. And then last but not least is anything that is bonkers and a shifter or monster. Listen, we know I've read Stuffed. I have the Fingerling Potato book on my TBR for a video this Christmas season for you. I love a bonkers book. I read the Pumpkin Spice Latte book. Like, I love a bonkers book, right? So, like, of course, if you set out, like, a selection of books, like Railed by the Easter Bunny, I'm gonna appear and be like, hello, talk to me about this railing of the Easter Bunny, or Krampus, or, you know, potato shifters. Because, like, of course I want to know how that works and why that happened. Who doesn't? But yeah, those are the three like micro tropes I feel like smaller tropes you could summon me with, like less popular. But yeah, those are the books you can summon me with. I would love to know what books you could be summoned with and or what book you think you could summon me with. Like if you agree with these or not. And if you don't want to do that, you can leave me an airplane emoji, because my favorite little micro trope. Yeah, you can do that. I'll have links to the books I talked about down below. And I will have links from my friend anywhere on the internet. And I will see y'all in just a few days. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get away